Hello guys, I am recording this for 40K Theories. How's everybody doing? Now, this is Battlefleet Gothic Armada. Went live in April. At present, it has about another month until they release the Space Marines. And then the Tau Fleet is somewhere down the line. Those are the currently announced expansions. Right now you have the ability to play the campaign, which is heavily scripted. Not that I'm necessarily against heavily scripted stuff, but there are some points in it where I'm like, I did a thing and it didn't count. You have the custom game where you can play a completely customized game with any race that you want. Right now we have the Imperial Navy, Chaos, Orc Pirates, or the Eldar Corsairs. Solo Skirmish is you versus computers in randomized games. Multiplayer is completely randomized Admiral games with the matchmaking system that basically throws you against the closest opponent it can possibly find, usually meaning you're outmatched if you haven't upgraded your multiplayer fleet. In the options menu, now once I put it on windowed full screen, or actually, I'm not quite sure, custom, that is right. You have to turn it off of windowed full screen to turn it on custom before you can customize this for some reason, which is really odd. But the standard video options, I wish people would stop making a video option that says epic. There should just be a highest settings or something else. The music is not copyrighted and the soundtrack is absolutely amazing. Voice acting is spot on for Warhammer 40K. The game itself is very, very pretty, as we can also see, and the sound effects are usually fairly good, even though it's in space where there would be no sound. Adjust the gamma and get to see your individual controls, as well as ship controls and skill controls, which this is a section they recently added were the hotkeys for various capabilities. Now, you could also play the credits or quit. But I really think it... How should I put this? They go way out of their way to strictly capture the tabletop experience. And I mean this in the nicest way possible. I've been playing the campaign on hard, but I go in and practice in the solo skirmishes on easier difficulties. They have truly been giving us what I would consider the most in-depth experience and closest to the tabletop possible while still making it a real-time strategy game. Now, inside of your dockyards, you have there are battleships as well. There's two, the Retribution and the Emperor class battleships. You have two. Every race at least has two of each ship type. Some of them have more, some of them have less. But as you can see, they have Overlord, Mars. If we go down here to Imperial cruisers, they have a bunch of them. And the Orcs get to completely customize their ships, which every race works in a significantly different manner. And it shows in game. Matter of fact, let's go take a look at, say, the Orcs, which are going to be something completely different than the Imperial ships. See, the Orcs don't have standard built ships, and to represent this, you have what are called custom points, meaning that for every ship, depending upon its class, so for a cruiser in this case, I get 2 custom points. I can customize what's on it, and therefore it becomes a different ship depending upon what I put upon that vessel. And this goes all the way up, including the battleship, which has 3 custom points, but also comes with a crap load of weapons already. And you could just go complete carrier with the battleship if you really wanted to. I think battle cruisers have 3, 2, and cruisers have 2 or 1, 2. Light cruiser has 1, 1. But that's how the Orcs work, and every faction has different tactics that they rely on. So, for instance, the Eldar ships don't have shields. They have hollow fields that negate hits on a percentage chance, which we can see right, where's Eldar Hollow Field? Eldar Hollow Field. There it is, Hollow Field. So instead of shields, the ship is equipped with hollow fields that entirely absorbs some lance attacks and reduces the precision of enemy macro weapons. Hollow fields decrease if the ship is under its maximum speed. Hollow fields increase when the shield is above its maximum speed. Is at or above its maximum speed. At most, this can reduce the base accuracy by a lot. I'm not quite sure what the maximum is anymore. I think it's 80%. Let's go see an upgrade. I believe it's 80% for reduction. Yeah. Is it 80%? I thought it was 80%. I think it's 80% of the shots will have a reduction in. It'll be up to an 80% reduction. It'll absorb 80% of lance battery fire. But considering that dozens of shots are hurled at things, you oftentimes still take hits. Also, all the Eldar ships, as you guys can see, have all of their weapons mounted facing one direction, the front of the ship. You can't get in broadside duels with Eldar. You got to make passing runs, and you can't ram with Eldar because they're super fragile. That is not what I wanted to do. Back to actions. There we go. So we are now going to take a look at a Imperial battle, and I'm going to explain as much of it as I can during the battle. But before we do that, let's take a look at the upgrade system. So ships gain experience. They gain two things: crew, which can increase their crew ever so slightly and their capabilities, and actual upgrades to the ship. Okay, so this one I'm going to give it an extra shield generator. Now it has 100 more shields. Shields recharge over the course of the battle so long as the generator is functioning. In the case of this particular vessel, I'm going to give it belt armor. Belt armor allowing it to ignore the first critical hit to its command deck, its generator, or its engines. Thereby meaning that the chance of a critical hit actually crippling this ship is drastically reduced. Go look at this light cruiser. We'll give her some shields. Go look at this other light cruiser. I like making my ships, particularly with the Imperium guys, really stupidly tough. I mean, absolutely nearly invulnerable if I can manage it. Now escort missions will be easier. The other thing you can do is you can pay for what's called a favor. In the campaign, the cost of these can be reduced. A favor gives this ship a unique ability, in this case, Emperor's Turret, identify enemy ship signal, and it's permanent throughout the entire match, and a buff, in this case the Imperial Suite, which gives every crew member a point. So all of these crew sections get an extra point. Adeptus Mechanicus, and every faction has different ones that do different things. So every faction further plays differently because of these inherent buffs. I'm actually going to make this an Adeptus Astartes vessel.
Astartes are prepared to continue.
I'm going to make this an Imperial Navy vessel.
Imperial Navy, ready
which makes
to
it
strike.
unbreakable. This ship can no longer flee from combat, or its insubordination is reduced significantly less for it to flee from combat instead of just staying there till it explodes. So, as promised, we are going to take a look at a battle. Now, the problem with the solo skirmish is you actually don't get to pick the battle you're going to do. Whereas with the campaign, you do get to select most of the battles you go to, except for the priority ones that are the storyline ones. So here we have, I am facing the Eldar Corsairs. I know I'm facing the Eldar Corsairs. Okay. So that means lance weapons that can't miss are going to be of a supreme advantage. Even though their hollow fields will provide them with some protection, they won't necessarily stop they won't necessarily stop the lance batteries. And we're actually going to take a Dominator so that you guys can see a Nova cannon fire. So I got a healthy mix of ships. I got an Imperial Navy vessel. I got an Inquisition vessel. I've got an Adeptus Astartes. Adeptus Astartes vessels basically are going to be the boarding faction. If you want your ships to be very powerful in boarding actions and counter boarding actions, which there are a lot of, Adeptus Astartes are your ships. Now the key difference to remember here is that battle cruisers and cruisers aren't necessarily radically different. As you can see, they have the same hit points at 900 HP. However, what makes them much different is this one comes with lance turrets and an extra set of torpedo launchers, whereas this one only comes with the macro batteries. In addition to this, it has all plasma macro batteries, which have longer range, whereas the regular cruiser has standard macro battery ranges. So, we're going to deploy the rest of our fleet. Here's the Dominator. I'm going to zoom in on this to show you lack of torpedo tubes means you either get a Nova Cannon or a Prow Lance battery. Torpedo tubes. Nova Cannon. Also, you can tell the difference between the regular cruisers and the battle cruiser by these two antennae that stick up. On a battle cruiser, they've been replaced with the Lance turrets. And lastly, we have the little Dauntless class light cruiser. And you can also see the visual distinction here. This is an Inquisition ship. This is an Imperial Navy ship covered in the blue. And the very, very dusty, I guess, rust-colored gold. This is an Adeptus Astartes ship covered in all gold. And this is an Adeptus Astartes ship. Alright, we have deployed. There's a radiation wave, which is a random effect at reducing our detection range, as you can see by the circle here. So ships start the mission. We're actually going to tell everybody to engage, unless I'm told otherwise. We're going to tell this battle cruiser to engage at 6,000.
Your command.
You can set your engagement range. You can set your engagement behavior to either be broadside or to be frontal engage. Remember, when doing frontal engages, the ship will stop as long as it's facing the enemy. You can also tell them which side of the ship you want to engage with in case your weapons are destroyed. There's a lot of work here that's gone into the interface.
Yes, Admiral.
There really is. And as you guys can see, there are a bunch of red blips over there. This shows me those ships are there. I can't actually see what they are. However, I did use this ability, the Emperor's Turret, to reveal this one, and I revealed a cruiser, a Shadow class Eldar cruiser. Now, what I am going to do here is one of the most annoying things you can do as an Imperial player. Because most Imperial ships come with either a Nova Cannon, which that is going to hit. Nova Cannon has a huge scatter chance, or they come with torpedoes.
Awaiting orders.
As you guys can see, I've now scattered a volley of torpedoes in their direction. I'm also now going to deploy that plasma bomb and this stasis bomb. Just some special abilities you're going to see. The plasma bomb is direct damage, but the stasis bomb, with that huge range of damage there,
yes, Admiral,
is actually a problem for a lot of ships, and this poor vessel is not even going to last. However, as you can see, those torpedoes are going to hit me. I'm going to brace for... Actually, we're going to teleport out, if we can. Nope, we cannot get away. Oh, can we? Doesn't matter, we already took the hit. Damn. Not quick enough. That's the tactical cogitator mode. Now, normally we could attempt to outrun these, but I didn't notice them until it's too late, so we're going to brace for impact. And I'm going to launch borders. I'm also going to deploy a plasma bomb. And a shield nerfer. Ow! That just nerfed my shields out. So we're going to taunt that vessel in order to bring it into us. And launch a Terminator lightning strike. Defect with not having shields is you're constantly vulnerable to lightning strikes. Lightning strikes being a long-range, single boarding attempt. It appears as though, however, the Eldar have lost the vessel. And it appears also as though that cruiser is either not moving, which is suicide for Eldar, or it is, in fact, had its generator destroyed, and it's just not moving very fast. So we're going right after him while he's stationary. Nova Cannon fire!
Your orders.
Now, part of the way you defend against Eldar is not spreading your ships out. This in-close defense type of tactic, where all of my ships are in range of each other, is really making it very difficult for him to isolate and destroy a vessel, which is primarily what the Eldar wish to do. So we're going to line it up and fire some torpedoes and maybe hit. Yep. We're going to tell you to brace, because we're going to go in for what the Imperial Navy is very special at, ramming speed! And we grind right off her hull, and guess what? We're going to do it again. She's dead. Just cleave through her with our ramming prow. So in fact, yes, that ramming prow is there for a reason. And certain things like angle at which the shot impacted counts to determine armor penetration. Amount of armor present is different based on each ship. The Imperial ships all get 75 armor on the front because of that front ramming prow, and 50 on the sides and rear. The Orcish ships get 80 on the front, 50 on the sides, and 25 on the rear. The Eldar ships obviously don't get a lot of armor and are easily destroyed if you can pin them down and prevent them from moving while keeping your ships very, very tightly clustered together. As you can tell, I've had a lot of practice fighting Eldar going through the Let's Play that I've been going through. However, let's go take a look at what it's like to play in you guys now seen the Imperial Navy. So I've had a lot of time to do a lot of practice. I'm now going to show you guys a custom game. And I am actually going to play the Chaos. Let's take this. So a custom game allows me to set up the game however I wish. I can increase the point cost up to 700. We're going to do a 700 point cruiser clash. And I'm going to add an AI. I'm going to add a Orc Pirate versus Chaos. There we go. So I've got a single battle cruiser, a single cruiser. Let's get another cruiser. Then I've got these little light cruisers with, I believe, yes, they have fighter bays. They do in fact have fighter bays. What do you have that's not a fighter bay? A lance battery, or I could just take the macro turrets and the fighter bays. Okay. So the Chaos Fleet is also known as the Swarm Fleet, and that is because of the sheer amount of fighters that they can fling at you. In addition to this, most of their heavy and high-powered weapons are mounted in turrets. You heard me, turrets. So a lot of their weaponry is mounted in turrets. And this will give you guys an idea
Just show us something to kill.
of how everything works when it comes to Chaos versus Orcs. Now we have to remember the Orc fleet is extremely tough. And even though this, being a battle cruiser, I believe... No, I don't have any marks on this fleet. That is right, I have no marks on this fleet. So it's just a regular Chaos battle cruiser. Being a battle cruiser can still be easily ripped apart. If you focus your fire and really hammer into things, you can take it apart. We are going to launch what's called an Auger Probe, which basically lets me get a free scouting run without having to move a ship. And there's another one of those random... And battlefields are entirely randomly generated, as you can see. Even in the campaign, battlefields are not necessarily set, except for on the campaign missions themselves. But yeah, 2 minefields, and you can run into them, which is why you have the high energy turns, the all stops, and the floor it. So you can get out of range of bubbles and into range and out of range of, or avoid minefields. Now with his sheer number of vessels, I have to take an educated guess that many of his vessels are in fact going to be
ready eternally.
Escort ships. Smaller vessels.
Your orders.
And we are checking our cannon ranges. 6,000 is the range you want to be at.
Just show us something to kill.
Cannon ranges. So I can determine what range I want these ships to engage in. You are actually our close range vessel.
Your orders.
You have a 9,000 range, so you can sit at 9,000 because you're primarily fighters. Now, as you can see, I'm using this vessel up here as kind of a reconnaissance scout.
The dark gods.
Just something to recon out and determine what's up here.
We've sighted an enemy ship.
Now, I want all vessels to remain on target unless otherwise noted. Now, that poor escort just basically sailed into death. And this poor escort is next. He's obviously taken the I want many escort route, so he's either got a battleship or he's got even more escorts. Now, this is a moment where you have to make a decision, and my decision is to take only 1 torpedo.
Cruising speed set.
By using the high energy maneuver to avoid it. You can really... Micromanagement is definitely the name of the game here, for those who are curious, and it becomes a big effort to micromanage your ships. Is the game perfect? No, not really. I mean, the AI, for Christ's sake, is throwing wave after wave of escort vessels at me, and expecting it to work. And escort spam, while it can work against a player who's unprepared for it, if you're prepared for it, it's not going to work against you. And there it is, a battle cruiser.
Your orders.
Drop a stasis bomb on the Orcs, their worst nightmare.
Ready eternally.
And let's maneuver our main assault cruiser closer.
Just show us something to kill.
while we turn our other assault cruiser around. These two cruisers are really our main tanking cruisers. Granted, Chaos is not known for taking huge amounts of damage. They are slightly less tougher than the Imperial ships, and more importantly, they're more about staying away from your opponent. As you guys can see, I've already lost a weapon, and the visual detail here is quite stunning. You can see this macro battery is actually the section destroyed on the ship, as I am taking a venerable pounding from the Orcs. I'm actually going to re-taunt him onto a different vessel in order to spread the damage out. Boarding Orcs, however, is pretty suicidal, and we have lost the deck as well. Top maneuver. Now I need to get out of my own... Come on. I need to get out of my stasis bomb here. So we're going to high energy turn and get the hell away. I think someone just warped out. Yeah, that light cruiser broke and warped out. Counter lightning strike with lightning strike. Try again. I think he's warping away. Yes, he is definitely warping away. However, we are still left to fight the escorts. Oh, he's dead. Oh, he is dead. There's like that final explosion. Everyone, maximum firepower if you can. We've got a single enemy vessel left to engage. Well, two really. But even these escorts have a troop value of 70 versus my 60 base. Even the the Orcish escorts are nearly impossible to really board. And we can see if we can get a final parting blow into this ship up here. Oh, got her. Plasma bomb did its job. So escort spam, everyone. Again, I kept my ships relatively closer together so they could defend each other, and because escort spam doesn't really work very well unless you can catch them completely off guard with it, or get your big cruisers in there first, because one of the things to remember, so long as the ship is alive, it's able to fight. So what are some problems with Battlefleet Gothic? Well, let's go talk.
Course to strike
We're very deep into the campaign, by the way. This is turn 26
no doubt
on a hard campaign.
The worlds of that system.
So, first off, when you encounter these Blackstone fortresses, until you get to a mission where you are allowed to destroy the captured Blackstone fortresses, you can bring them all the way down to 10 hit points and they won't die. Same thing with Abaddon's Planet Killer. I technically killed it already, but it's still here. There's a lot of things here that are scripted very heavily. Technically, Abaddon is supposed to get the Eye of Night as well as the Hand of Darkness. I managed to complete those very difficult missions and prevent him from getting it. If you fail missions here, you don't necessarily lose. It's not necessarily the end of the game. However, one of the things I have also noticed with the campaign is it gets to the point where you really can't upgrade your main fleet anymore. As you guys can see, every single ship has a favor. Adeptus Mechanicus favors, by the way, look amazing. They even have the Omnissiah on the prow now. And the Inquisition gets the Inquisitorial Rosetta. I mean, the game looks amazing. I'm not even going to argue that. What I am going to argue is that there are problems. And those problems arise when you have a story that is so heavily scripted that it allows for no player choice or freedom during the strategy game. You give us this... Now, I don't necessarily have a problem with not letting us have a choice or freedom. That's part of writing a story. But you give us this grand campaign in which we feel like we have an influence, in which we feel like we have decisions that we, as the player, have made. And in fact, if you make the wrong decisions, you lose. And in fact, some of the decisions that you want to make are taken out of your hands. And sometimes your actions don't actually count, such as me bringing down a Blackstone Fortress to 10 hit points. It still got away. Just, that bugs me a little bit. Also, because the fleet sizes are restricted to 700 points, a lot of people would like to see larger scale battles. Understand that in this sort of micromanagement game, larger scale battles would be nearly impossible to control. But I would like to see an 800 or 900 point battle. 700 is kind of low even for me. I would not like to see the suggested 1500 or, you know, deploy your entire fleet type of battles, because those would just be insane to attempt to control at all, considering that the emphasis here is on individual vessels, which for people like me who do YouTube stuff, I actually took the time to name these individual vessels after volunteer subscribers. Something that I like to do in my Let's Plays when I have the opportunity is name the characters in my games after my subscribers. That's me personally. But yeah, those are some of the issues. A couple of others. Hit detection is not always spot on with graphical interface. Sometimes I see torpedoes hit targets, but because the torpedoes weren't actually there, but the graphics showed them hitting the targets, the hit doesn't count, so I wonder why I didn't do any damage. And it's literally a hit detection issue, in which the graphics are showing the torpedoes in one place and they're in fact in another place. Another problem I have is the AI. The AI is brilliant. The AI is actually improved on difficulty levels, rather than the AI just getting an artificial buff. I fully approve of this. However, the AI has limitations. I've gotten through the single-player campaign up to turn 26, as you guys see, without... Well, I've lost 2 battles in the last Let's Play. Out of... God. 3 battles a turn, and 3 turns with 4 battles in it. So that's 3 battles a turn for 22 turns. So out of almost 100 out of 78 battles so far I fought on the... Wow, that's a lot. 78 battles, I've only lost 2. Granted, I'm still on the verge of losing the campaign because it is the 12th Black Crusade. And the voice acting is spot on, as you guys heard. It is very good, and the soundtrack is amazing. But there are those little things that can drag it down. And again, this is not a game for everyone. This type of strategy game is definitely not a game for everyone. If you've been thinking about Battlefleet Gothic, and this review has helped you, awesome. If it hasn't, please remember, I am running a Let's Play of Battlefleet Gothic, and you guys can come to my channel and check out a couple of the Battlefleet Gothic episodes to see if it's really a game for you. It's a strategy game that is based on micromanagement rather than macromanagement, so it gives a lot of reward for managing your fleet very appropriately, because you're never going to have more than 5 or 6 of your own ships plus escorts on the battlefield at once. One of my favorite combinations is the triple threat, the Retribution battleship, and then a Mars battle cruiser and an Overlord battle cruiser, and that's the entire fleet. No escorts, just those 3 big ships. Like, come on. Because, again, until you start ripping off systems or actually destroying ships, they do just as much damage at 10 hit points as they do at 10,000. Which no ship has 10,000 hit points. I think the most hit points I've seen is on one of the Orc vessels in the campaign, which I won't tell you what it is, because that would ruin the story and give you spoilers. That's not fair. Unless you want to come watch the Let's Play, then you admit that you're willing to have spoilers. Custom games also allow direct invites to friends, and you can't do 2 versus 2 and 3 versus 3 games, which means, yes, you can have those big, massive 2100 point battles, but it's going to be 3 different people controlling all the ships. That much said, the game has turned out much better than I would have expected. I kind of, during early access, wasn't quite sure how well it was going to turn out. And then I started playing, and then we kept playing it, and they kept doing modifications and balances, and now the game is wonderful. All the factions, again, play uniquely differently, something that's very rare in a strategy game, and very hard to nail in the 40K universe. Everything is very fluff and 40K lore respective. The only issues I really have are the hit detection and the stupidly heavily scripted story. But that's everything. That is Battlefleet Gothic in a nutshell. Upcoming promised to us are the Space Marine and Tau fleets. Those of us who bought it before the... you can still, by the way, apparently I'm looking at it right now, you can still, until the end of this month, buy the game and get the Space Marine and Tau Fleet downloadable content that are coming out later for free. And for those of you who are like, oh, the Space Marine fleet's just an Imperial fleet focused on boarding. No, it's not. Go look at Space Marine strike cruisers and Space Marine strike vessels. And then look at the Imperial Navy vessels and you'll realize they're two distinctly different fleets. And you guys have, from the time this goes up sometime until May 31st, I believe. It may go a little longer than that, but you have until the end of the first 2 months of the game being released. The game was released on April 21st. Okay, you guys have until the 21st of June. I stand corrected. 21st of June if you want to get the 2 DLCs that are coming out. And supposedly we're going to have the Space Marine fleet sometime in the next few weeks. We are also hoping to have additional campaigns, but that is something for the long run, because this is an incredibly well built campaign with, again, very good voice acting, and I got to give credit to the VOs because they really suck you in and bring you into this the grim dark universe that is 40K. Anyway, that is my full review. Hope you enjoyed. Hope it was worth your time, and I hope to see all of you next week when I review another 40K game. Right now I have, what is this, 40 hours? Good God, I've played this game too much. Into Battlefleet Gothic. If you can do Remlays a big favor, because this is up on his channel, not mine. My channel's in the description below. Hopefully, Remlays, you did remember that, right? I hope you did. You can check it out on... you can hit the like button. God, if you want to do Remlays a big favor, my brain just went poop. I apologize. But if you want to do Remlays a big favor, you can check it out and hit the like button. Also, share this on Facebook, Twitter, wherever your social media are. That is how YouTubers grow, people, is you guys going and telling all your friends about us. So make sure you guys are doing that. Remlays also has a Patreon page, which I have included a annotation marker for him if he wants to annotate for his Patreon page. That's how you support him. And right now, guys, this is all the income he has. He doesn't. I don't mean to spill his personal business. I love you, Remlays. You're one of my best friends. But I don't mean to spill his personal business. But I'm supporting him on Patreon at least until I know for a fact he has a stable income. I might support him even longer than that, and I suggest you guys do too, because right now he's still between jobs. And that's about everything. I hope Remlays didn't mind me adding that little bit, and I hope you guys will support him like I do. In the meantime, from my house to yours, this is Fiaura, and I hope you all had a wonderful, wonderful time. Bye-bye, everyone.